Joining us now on the Saturday Morning Hangover, Dallas Cowboys safety Jeff Heath. Have you ever had a Saturday morning hangover?
I have.
Yeah? How bad was it? Or how bad were they?
They varied, but I've had some bad ones.
Do you have any like remedies? Like, what's your like go-to? Like, I'm not feeling. Was it like Gatorade or like black coffee or?
Sleep and water.
Good call.
Yeah, sleep and water probably.
I imagine most of those bad ones were probably back in the college days.
Yeah, a lot of college days. Well, it was more Sunday morning, you know, because you play Saturday.
From a Saturday night out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of college, how many of you guys are in the NFL from? It's Saginaw, right?
Saginaw.
So you got like a thing? Like, do you not like when people say Saginaw?
I mean, no one says it. You're the first person to ever say Saginaw.
Glad I could be the
Yeah.
first. Are you the only guy in the NFL right now? So you're not.
Yeah. Yep. We had Jeff Janis, who was in my
with
grade.
Green Bay for a while.
Yeah, he was with Green Bay for a while, and then he was with Cleveland for a little bit. But yeah, I think I'm trying to think. I think I'm the only one right now. We had some guys before, like Todd Hermans and Paul Spicer, a few guys like that. John DeGiorgio.
Sure.
Yeah.
So two Jeffs. Kind of interesting coincidence.
So if you're going to go to Saginaw, you better be a Jeff if you want to make it to the NFL.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it might give you a better chance.
So I've wanted to ask you about this for a long time. You've had a really just interesting propensity for big plays. You know, I mean, you can look at a lot of ones. The sack on Aaron Rodgers, people point out. I know you guys lost that game. Not to pick at old wounds, but I think the best example was in Oakland. And I was talking to Cheeto about that game, and he said that it was probably the most memorable game of his career so far. What was that like? And that's a really interesting one because not a lot of people realize the touchback thing right away, and you knew it in the moment. What was that like? Yeah,
that was. I mean, that was just a fun game, especially just because. You know, it was late in the year, and we were needing to win to keep our playoff hopes alive. Unfortunately, we lost the next week, but you know, it was kind of like if they score there, our season's, you know, our playoff hopes are over. So, you know, just giving our team another shot, and then really, especially for the guys like, you know, Witt and Sean, just to see how they reacted, knowing that, you know, they've played so long and how hard it is to get to the playoffs. So. Yeah, that was definitely a memorable game.
I know that in the locker room afterwards, Coach Garrett kind of got you in the center and said that, you know, I know it was an emotional time because you're right, you guys were really scratching and clawing at that point. And he said, you know, all I know is one day when we're all in rocking chairs, I'm going to see Jeff Heath flying through the air, and we're on the radio, so I can't say exactly what he said. Yeah. He said, I'm going to see him knocking out that, you know, football. Yeah. Was that moment emotional, just given the state of the season at that point?
I don't know if it was emotional. I don't really get too emotional when it comes to stuff like that, but you know, it was just a good memory, and you know, like I was saying, just fun plane ride back. You know, long flight from California, and just after a win like that, it's just fun.
And you talk about like kind of knowing the rules in that moment and stuff.
Yeah.
How much, because football knowledge and knowing exactly kind of what the rules are to that extent, how much has that helped you to get where you are currently in the NFL, where you're starting for the Cowboys at safety, and just your growth from, you know, being a special teamer into the starting lineup and making these plays, but also just having that knowledge to be able to make plays in the moment like that, knowing you're such a student of the game?
Yeah, I think you know, obviously it's important to know, you know, all those rules and stuff, but you know, when that play specifically, it's not like I was like trying to like I'm gonna knock it out of the end zone. I was you're just going fast, and you know, once he laid out and I hit, you know, we hit the ground, and then when I got up and I saw the ball rolling out of the end zone, basically I was just thinking, okay, well, if his knee was up, then we win the game. So, and then kind of seeing his reaction, I think he knew also, like, man, he knew that he knew what happened. So, but yeah, I think that play is it happens more often than you would think. And
the touchback thing?
Yeah, the touchback thing. And you know, I've seen it happen a lot in college and pros. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, if they want to take the risk of reaching the ball out, which a lot of times it works out well for them, but they do run the risk of, you know, losing it.
You're a defensive player, so maybe that kind of shapes your answer. But do you like that? Because I know people have proposed, and it worked to your benefit, right? You know, obviously, and, you know. But do you think that's a rule that if it changed, you'd be like, yeah, I get it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's an interesting rule. Just that it's I don't know. Actually, that's kind of a.
It's weird, right?
It is
you
weird.
would like
yeah.
surrender the ball.
Right.
Like I'm fine
because if you just fumble out of bounds normal, you get the ball back right there. You know. So I don't know. Maybe it just. I mean, they gotta help defense out somehow.
Sure. I mean, you gotta at least have one rule,
There's
right?
so many rules that, in my opinion, benefit the offense. So it's nice to see that one. I hope it stays around.
On the subject of that, obviously, pass interference rules are a new thing and how they're challengeable. Has that at all implemented the way you've prepared for the season? Just, understanding this could happen and being aware of it on 3rd and long, and the teams could potentially try to exploit that?
I haven't really thought too much about it, and I haven't kind of even forgot that was a new rule. And we're going to see that, obviously we'll see in the preseason how it works. That's kind of always happens. They'll make new rules, and we'll get into the preseason, and they have to work through the rule a lot. So, and we'll see how it happens. I think it happened a couple of times yesterday, but I'm hoping that can benefit the defense too. But
Sure.
just any way to make the game more fair, take a lot of the guesswork out for the referee. Is like, I mean, things are happening so fast, and a lot of times stuff will look like there's a lot of contact, but there's really not. And offensive guys are pretty savvy at like making it look like there's a lot of contact when there's really not. So. Hopefully it can benefit us as well.
Now in the preseason, these rule changes, we see them get enforced kind of heavily in the preseason, kind of like the 5-yard no contact rule, and then all of a sudden in the season they kind of back off it a little bit. Is it best for y'all to think of it in terms of like, all right, they're going to call this heavily in the preseason, but just keep doing what we do, and eventually there's going to kind of be a regression to the mean in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just aware that it's something that the refs need to work through as well. It's new for them, it's new for us. So a lot of the good refs, especially during the preseason, we're working together to kind of talk about well, why'd you throw that there? What'd you see there? And a lot of times they'll straight up say like, well, we're gonna err on the side of throwing it, and then since these games have no meaning in terms of playoffs and all that stuff, it's like we would rather throw the flag and then go review the game ourselves and find out that we were wrong, rather than like not throw the flag. And so I think that's probably I'm imagining what's going to happen.
Preseason for them too.
Yeah, exactly. They have a lot of stuff to work through, so I think you just are aware of that.
We were talking before we went on about you're a father now, you got a 6-month-old baby, and things are great. You're kind of, I mean, I don't put it this way, you're kind of the old man of the secondary in a way.
Yeah.
You've been around a while,
Yeah.
and you've seen a lot of change. You were here for the Brandon Carr, Mo Claiborne, Barry Church, J.J. Wilcox days. That goes on. You get this injection of youth kind of all at once. I know Byron got drafted first, but, I mean, what's it been like to see the overall change within the secondary, and even Chris Richard coming in, and you remaining as a common denominator, like the middle of the Venn diagram there?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun. I have really good relationships with those guys you mentioned, B. Carr, Mo, and Church, JJ, all those guys, and I miss playing with them. And then even our coaches. When my rookie year, we had Coach Henderson, who was our corners and secondary coach, Coach Baker, and it's just what the NFL is all about, man. There's change all the time. And I've really enjoyed getting to know and play with these young guys that have tons of energy. I think Cheeto comes to mind, just like so energetic, always in a good mood, stuff like that. And I think anytime that you have guys that can just bring that energy all the time, it makes it more enjoyable for you. It makes it easier for you. And the Coach Richard, especially, man, he just brings so much knowledge and energy as well. And we feed off him and his attitude and his mentality. And, I think a coach like that, when you pair him with a young secondary like we've had here, that's a lot of room to grow.
I know that this is kind of old at this point, but he wears cleats for practice. Had you ever seen a coach do that before?
Yeah, my college DB coach and defense coordinator
did that juice you up? Like, is it not, I know it's not like you're like, oh, hell yeah, like Chris Richard's wearing cleats, but is it just kind of, that's awesome?
Yeah, it's just he's involved. He's really hands-on. He's just, and that goes back to all the energy that he brings. It's like, if you have can't even think of many coaches I've had like this, but coach that kind of just stands there off to the side and coaches from the sideline. It's like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as engaging as a coach who's kind of in the muck with you and getting excited, dripping sweat at practice. So, yeah, we feed off all that stuff.
Dallas Cowboys safety Jeff Heath joining us here on the Saturday Morning Hangover on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, and on the go at ESPNSA.com. Jeff, when you look at this defense as a whole, y'all have got so many great players across it, and y'all had such a great season last year as a defense. How do you try to even expand upon what y'all did last year, finishing as, I believe, a top 5 defense in the NFL, if I remember correctly, and just being able to try and take it to another level from where y'all were last year?
Yeah, and I think the biggest key was that you have to start all over, and there's a lot of, you hear fans say a lot, like they're looking to build off last year and build off success that they've had in the past, but the NFL really doesn't work that way, because each year is a different team, different players, games always go, it's just so different. So the mentality that you're just going to repeat what you did last year and build off that, it never really works. So we had to start from square one, like Coach Marinelli always says, like, you got to learn to put your socks back on. And especially with the way we play, with the way we run the ball and the physicality and all that stuff, like, it just doesn't happen overnight. You really have to work on that. The coaches have to, drill it into your head. So, I think it starts there. And then, when we get into games, it's just, I think what we need to do to take our defense to the next level is just capitalize more on turnovers. Like we've had, I don't know, I think we were like in the middle of the pack in the league last year, and that's not our standard. And we pride ourselves on being able to take the ball away, but if you don't do it in games, then it's all talk, So we just have to be able to capitalize when we get those opportunities. And then I think, if we hold up our, uphold our standards. Sorry. If we uphold our standards in terms of running, hitting, all that stuff, executing, and then capitalize on turnovers, I think the sky's the limit.
You guys, since you've been here, every year, like around training camp, there's been something. There's been some sort of big thing, and Tony goes down, and then Dak's here, and then it's the first year without him, and whatever. And I know the Zeke thing's going on, but speaking from our perspective at least, it really doesn't feel like that's even like a big thing. It feels like all of you sort of understand the business side of everything. Yeah, and I don't want to speak for y'all, but it does feel like this is the first camp in a long time where it's just been, we're a football team. We're just here practicing football. Do you have that vibe too?
Yeah, exactly. And, we understand the business side of the NFL. There's no way around that. It's there. And, obviously we love Zeke. He's such a great player. And we love when he's here. But he's dealing with the business side right now. And, that's something that he's got to do to, take care of his family and himself. And we're just focused, we still have 90 guys here at camp, or whatever, I don't know, 89, but we have all these guys here at camp, and we're just focused on improving with the guys we have here. And we know that, Zeke's handling his business, and that'll hopefully all get worked out, and then, we'll be ready.
On top of all that, it seems going through camp this year that this team more closely mirrors Garrett as a person than teams in past, just in terms of the personality of the players and just kind of how quiet and easygoing and really focused in on the task at hand than previous training camps or even previous iterations of the Dallas Cowboys. Does it feel like that, like it more closely mirrors Garrett than previous iterations of the team?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if it mirrors Garrett. I just think this is a very focused team. We have a lot of good veteran leadership, and we have a lot of young guys who really love football and really work their butts off. And playing in the NFL in 2019, there's so many distractions, and there's so much talk, and there's so many eyes on especially our organization, and really all that stuff is just distractions to try to get you out of focus and take all your attention away from just doing your job. So I think, and we've seen how beneficial it can be when you have a laser-like focus and you just, focus on improving every day, kind of block out all the outside noise. It's going to be there whether you like it or not. You just got to learn to block it out, and that's when you have success.
Last thing, I'll get killed on Twitter if I don't ask you this. Twitter loves you. I don't know how aware are you of how much fans love you specifically? I mean, they have a loyalty to you that isn't shared with any other player. They love to call you the GOAT and use GOAT emojis and things like that. Number one, are you aware of that? And number two, I mean, I'm assuming you're grateful for it, but what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just.
Did you know, like, the people?
Yeah, I don't go on Twitter very often, but I mean, just any support that I can get or that the team gets, obviously we're very appreciative of. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird question. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously we love the support, and you know, obviously we're playing for each other and we're playing for our families, but we play for the fans too, and we want to give them a good product on the field, and you know, believe me, we want to win just as bad as they want us to win, and you know, we understand that when things aren't going well, that they get angry, and when things are going great, they're very happy. So, you know, obviously, we're very appreciative of the fans. We have great fans, and but yeah.
One of the things they use all the time for you is your Conor McGregor strut that you do
yeah.
against the Jaguars. So like anytime you do anything, that gif is like floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
So just so you know, it's in the back of your head.
Good to know.
So Jeff Heath, appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of camp. Good luck this season.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Yep.